some high level preparation which we need to take in order to learn the Selenium effectively. So of course the tool setup and all, I'm going to go over it very quickly because I assume you have already downloaded and installed an Eclipse, right? And Java setup is already done on your machine. And I just want you to refresh some Java concepts. And what are those important concepts is the methods, how to write and call methods, loops, there are conditional statements, and the difference between interface and a class. And I think this much is sufficient to get started. And these are the communities which I wanted you to register. The reason because Stack Overflow, it's an optional, but it's very good if you are looking for a long-term growth, right? Because Stack Overflow, generally people ask a lot of questions, and these are the real people, real professionals who is working in their projects, right? So everyone refers to Stack Overflow for getting a solution, but no one thinks who are those people who are giving the solutions, right? Why they are giving it? Why they are writing those solutions? What benefit are they getting? Are they getting money out of it? I don't think so. They have monetized any of their contents, right? Those are the people who are doing it because they are passionate in those things, I don't want you to be crazily passionate and start answering Stack Overflow all the day, but those are the steps to think of problem solving. When you get a challenging questions, when you solve it, and when someone accepts your solution and gives a thumbs up, it increases your confidence. It motivates you to go to a next level, right? So that's why it's very important to subscribe to such communities and keep yourself involved. The lead code is a fantastic platform, but it is more of a practice for the interview questions. You may the lead code is mostly used by a lot of FANG company people who want to get themselves interviewed, right? So you will have thousands of question banks there on the lead code. And HackerRank, it's also another good platform, HackerRank and the lead code. But yes, these are the interview oriented questions which are you preparing for. Let's say Google, if you're preparing for Twitter or some big product companies, then these are the very fantastic platforms. You should definitely have a discipline of answering one of the question from lead code every week, let's say, right? Couple of questions every Saturday, couple of questions every Sunday, something like that. So that's a fantastic platform. The GitHub is not as such like Stack Overflow and lead code, but yeah, the GitHub is more of a to maintain your repository. And nowadays I have also seen people started providing their GitHub repos in a resume, so yeah, so this is more of a decorating your resume, giving more information about what all extra projects you have done. There are people who create open source utilities. There are people who just do some kind of open source work, and they put it in their GitHub. And nowadays people share their GitHub repositories on LinkedIn or in resume, so that the person who is recruiting can understand how much really passionate in your work are. So that's another a good example. Even I'm building on my own GitHub repo. I haven't took the GitHub so seriously till date, maybe, but yes, it's you should be start doing it. Okay, there are other tools which we'll definitely need once we go with this journey, like Maven and Jenkins and a lot of other things. But yes, we will do that once we proceed with the course. And yeah, the
last time we went over, I already have it installed.
Yes, I think we have done that. Yeah. And more importantly, start thinking like a developer. That is very, very important, because you're not looking for the current job, but for a long career in automation. And automation has fantastic growth in future. I don't see this job is dying anytime, at least 20-30 years from now. So I can surely say we all who are working in this industry, especially in automation, has a good future if we stick to what's needed in an industry. If you're not learning what's needed in industry, you will get redundant. The new folks, the fresh graduates may overtake your job very quickly. Okay, so it's very important to keep on learning and learn with fun. So it's not difficult. So that's very important. So let's get started now. What we'll cover, I think I'll just go over the topics. We'll start with the WebDriver. First, we'll understand what exactly the WebDriver is, right? We'll understand what are the different flavors of Selenium. You would have heard about different Selenium ID, Selenium Grade, Selenium RC, Selenium WebDriver, right? But ultimately, WebDriver is the one which everyone is using. So I'll quickly give you an overview about how and who started a Selenium and where it is now. Okay, and then we'll go over step by step with the TestNG, Maven, and may or may not require, but yeah, I'll cover what it is. Okay, the build tool, basically the Jenkins, and then these are all small tools, I would say, which we will need to build a framework. Okay, so let's just to give an example. Whenever you drive a car, just engine doesn't make sense. Only engine may not help you to move from point A to B, right? You need wheels, and you will need a steering, you will need a fuel. There are a lot of things which we will need in order to work with each other, and then only the car can move from point A to B. So all these other technologies, all these individual components, we will understand them first in standalone way. Okay, so let's say when I'll teach you how the car moves from A to B, first we will learn what is wheel, how the wheel rotates, right? And then we'll learn about how the engine works, and then how engine works along with the wheel, and then how the steering works. If I move the steering, what happens to the wheel, and then the car turns. So you have to think in this way, as in complete view. These are all individual technologies, not necessarily developed only for Selenium. Okay, these are the small technologies which has been developed, and they are also being used in lot of other projects apart from Selenium, apart from automation. Okay, so Jenkins, Maven, and lot of other reporting framework which we will learn. Not all these technologies are necessarily developed only for Selenium. So these are standalone technologies which can be used with lot of exactly a lot of other automation tools as well, right? But when we talk about a framework, when we talk about a complete automation, we will definitely need all these things, right? So we're going to learn all of them step by step. First we will learn individually, then we will see why and how it works with Selenium. Okay, so why Selenium? I think you already know the question. The main important reason everyone is learning Selenium, or maybe all the projects wants to use Selenium, is because it's free, right? There is no harm in trying it. There is no harm in starting a project, starting a long-term project, because they know there is no licensing issue. It's not like after 2-3 years suddenly the vendor will start asking more license cost for its tool, right? So it helps uh, to have a long-term vision. If the tool is open source and free, it helps to scale the tool, right? Because you don't have limitations that only specific number of users will be allowed on this license, and you can't go more than this. And there are a lot of other complications sometimes in terms of license tool. So that's why it, another thing is exclusively developed for web applications. So the more and more browser capabilities are developing, this tool is getting upgraded very frequently nowadays because of its usage and because of its community supports, right? And the Selenium is widely used and widely experimented tool, I would say. There are a lot of folks, a lot of brilliant, talented folks out there who are doing a lot of experiments on Selenium. The reason, because it's free, right? So they can do a lot of tweaks in it. They can try with a lot of tools, they can integrate it, they can do twists and turns, and they are coming up with innovative solutions. So because of that, the Selenium is growing rapidly, getting adopted rapidly across platforms. Another good advantage is it supports multiple browser. You can do the Selenium automation on any browser, almost any browser nowadays. It can help you automate Chrome browser. It can help you automate Firefox, then Safari, and Internet Explorer, any browser. Multiple platforms. It can execute on Windows, Mac, or Linux. There is no, and I'll explain you why it works on all these things, because we're going to talk about the architecture of Selenium today. So then you will understand Because when you go to an interview, let someone ask you, do you know why it works on multiple browsers or why it works on multiple platform? You should have a reason, right? You shouldn't say no, the tool works on multiple browsers just because it works. Right? You should know the underlying functionality, that how and why it works, so that we will learn. It can be coded in multiple language. I think this is also one of the huge reason why it's so famous and popular, right? Because I have seen a specific trend with the new automators in a market. They have a tendency of implementing the tool which they know better. You know, when we hire a new automator, when he comes on board, of course, they'll be hired for a specific job, but sometimes there are some people around there who let's say who worked on a specific tool for 5 years, right? They have an expertise on that tool, so they try to see all the world just from that tool window, you know. uh, they they try to develop a framework with the tools and technologies they know, rather than what is needed in a project, you know. And when I talk about a Selenium, there are a lot of folks who love to script using Python, right? There are a lot of folks like me who still loves to write a code in Java. There are people who want Ruby. There are people who want JavaScript. So if we combine all those people together and then say, hey, I want you guys to start automating, you know, they can come on a same decision that, oh, let's go with Selenium because it satisfies all of their needs, right? The other person can write it in JavaScript, I can write it in Java, and the other person can write in Python, rather than we all fighting with each other and talking about advantage and disadvantage of a specific tool which supports only Java, which supports only Python, or which supports, let's say, only JavaScript, right? So that is also a good reason why the Selenium is so popular and famous. Now, Selenium is a suite again, okay? It's a combination of different tools, I would say. Rather than saying tools, I would say different solutions, automation solutions, okay? It initially started with IDE. IDE is basically a simple record and playback plugin. That's it, okay? It's nowadays you can see a lot of improvements happening in IDE, but still I would say to write advanced Selenium code, we may not even use an IDE, okay? It's just a Chrome and Firefox plugin, and with which you can record your automated flows, and it will generate a script kind of structure. I would say a tree kind of structure, which will say, okay, login, navigated to this website, you clicked on this button, then you entered this text, and then you submitted the form, right? So this is not an ideal tool for the automation as a career, but this may be a good tool when you have a very quick requirement of repeating certain things again and again. So let's say if you are submitting a Google form, right, and you want to do it 1,000 times, right? So it's better to automate that if you are doing that as a data entry, for example. So using a Selenium IDE, you can quickly do that. You don't need to actually write a script for it, right? So
it's more like for the recording, like
exactly, yeah, yes, you can say that it's just a record and playback solution. And the people who do not like to write a code, for them this can be a temporary solution, okay? But recording and playback, as you know, it doesn't work all the time, and that's why this is not a recommended solution for a long-term automation projects, okay? And we're not gonna invest a time to learn an IDE. I want you to explore. I want you to watch a couple of videos, and they are self-explanatory. Okay, so there is nothing technical or nothing super complex which I need to invest a time to explain you that. So you can watch a couple of videos as a new homework. How the IDE works? It's just a plugin. Just download a plugin, click on record button, do your thing, and stop the recording. That's it. You can see the scripts in front of you. Okay. RC is a remote control. See, again, the RC is also a deprecated solution. Now, no one uses it. Okay. So again, I'm not going to invest time to explain you how the RC works. You will find a lot of folks still talking about RC because they just want to increase the time of their YouTube videos or or other blog posts. But believe me, nowadays no one uses it because it's been already deprecated, and we have already moved to a WebDriver, which has the latest feature of RC, and all the disadvantage of RC has been overcame, in a WebDriver. So you don't worry about RC. I'll tell you how the RC works when we'll talk about the architecture. We'll give you a high level understanding about how the RC used to work. But yes, we no need to learn now. No industry uses it, or even if someone no, and there are some people who are still using it. Now it's a high time for them to start migrating it. Now next is a WebDriver. That's the solution, or that's the tool, I would say, which we're gonna learn in this course. It's a well-known, and it's a very flexible and open-ended tool. You can use the way you want. The main thing in this tool is to understand how it works from scratch, rather than just learning to write a Selenium code, right? It's 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 important to learn how the Selenium work in its core, because when you learn the Selenium from its core, there are unlimited opportunities to expand this tool. Okay, and you can only think of those opportunities when you know how the tool works, how those jar file works, how those libraries works, and then only you can think of exploring them, expanding them, right? So we're gonna invest a lot of our time to learn a WebDriver. Now coming back to a grid. So as name indicates, grid is something you can just imagine as of now is something, a solution to help you for parallel execution. Okay, when you want to invoke, let's say, 10 browsers at a time, and all the 10 browsers are doing the same automation, right? So for the parallel execution, for the concurrent execution, you will need something called a Selenium grid. Okay, so what we're gonna learn is a WebDriver and a grid. So in this two, we're gonna invest most of our time, and not on the ID and RC. Okay. So talking about the percentage wise, how much percentage we're gonna invest only in WebDriver and the other technologies, right? Maven, Jenkins, Log4j, and all those things. I would say 50% of time we will invest on the WebDriver. Okay, uh, and the remaining 30% will be those other technologies, and 20% will be the other platforms which I want you to get used to. So we're gonna pick up the problems from those platforms, and that's gonna be your homework to solve them. Okay, to post a solution not for me and you, but the person who is asking it. You're gonna start, at least there is nothing bad in at least start trying to solve the questions. Okay, there is a lot of learning curve in that, and no one can teach you. Once you start answering questions, how the people perceive your solution, they're really understanding it or not, or they are suggesting you that, hey, I think what you're saying is correct, but do you think this makes sense? Then so that overall approach is, I can't teach you that, that comes by its own, and that is very important. I've realized in my career that organic growth is very much needed. Otherwise you will be just a theoretical person. So I want you to get started with that. Now let's talk about the WebDriver architecture. um, Before you think that it's too complex, let me tell you, it's very easy and very simple how it works. So let's talk in a very simple language. Selenium can be coded in a Java, JavaScript, Python, Ruby, or no, any other languages, correct? Now, when I'm saying that it works on any language, it works on any platform, we need to understand why and how. Now, let's understand its architecture, how exactly the WebDriver works. So, let's say you have written some code, okay, in your Eclipse. As of now, just assume that you wrote it using Java, right? Now, whenever you run the code, whenever you run your script by clicking on that play button, let's say, right? Internally, what happens? There is something called as browser drivers. We will learn what are them. This entire code, whatever you have written, will get converted into JSON. Okay, you remember JSON? What was the JSON? It's a it's again a file format, right? And then if you don't know JSON, let's assume that it's something called as a text file, right? So entire your code will get converted into a JSON. Doesn't matter in which language you have written, everything will get converted into JSON. Okay. So if you wrote it in Java, if you write it in Ruby or JavaScript, or doesn't matter, whatever, it will get converted into JSON. Now that JSON will be an input to something called as browser drivers. Okay, I'll tell you what is this browser driver. Now this browser driver will read that JSON, and now this browser driver has a capability to convert that JSON into the suitable instructions which your browser understands. Okay, so one more thing you need to understand: all these different browsers, Chrome, Chrome, IE, Firefox, or Safari, right? They all have their own native APIs. What is native APIs? Every browser says, Google says, if you want to do some automated things on my browser, this is the method you should call. Okay, so let's say Chrome dot click button. I'm just giving an example. Okay, Chrome dot click button, and then give me where you want to click. So Chrome says, if you want to automate my browser, this is the method I expose, or this is the method I give. You need to call that method, and then I'll do that work for you. You're getting my point? Similarly, Firefox also says the same thing. Firefox says, oh, if you want to automate certain thing on my browser, then call this method and then give me the instruction, and I'll do it for you. Okay. They don't have one single method for every browser because they are proprietary browser by some companies, right? Microsoft owns the IE, Google owns this, and Firefox is owned by Mozilla. So they have their own native APIs. Yes. Edge, I think Internet Explorer it supports. Edge, I'm not sure. And Apple's browser Safari, right? So they have their own native APIs. They say, if you pass an instruction using those methods, I will do a job for you. Now, who will do that native API calls? If we start writing those native API calls in our Selenium, it's gonna be very difficult because we will end up writing the automation only for one browser in that way, right? If I want to run the code on a Firefox browser, then I'll have to automate using Firefox APIs. Are you getting? Which will be very difficult, correct? So that's why all this job has been given to something called as browser drivers, right? Now these browser drivers, what they do is they accept your entire Selenium code in whatever language you have written. It will get converted into a very simple format called JSON. That JSON will be an input to a browser driver, right? Now those browser driver will convert those JSON into the native API calls or whatever that individual browser understands, correct? And then it will give, or in another simple language, I can say these are nothing but servers. Okay, browser driver are the standalone server. Okay, in a technical word, these are the standalone server. This will convert your JSON into an HTTP instruction, or in a very simple language, I will say they will convert into the instruction which your individual browser understands, right? And then they'll give that call to the browser, and then browser will start doing that work for you, which is nothing but automation, right? And that's why it's very important in Selenium to have a browser specific drivers. So now if you see, most of the people who start writing the Selenium code, the first thing they do is they download Selenium. Of course, we need that. Then they also download corresponding browser drivers. Okay. Then the browser driver needs to initiate it, and every browser will come up with their own browser driver. Chrome will have its own Chrome driver. Firefox will has its own Firefox driver. IE will have its own IE driver. Okay. And why we need those drivers? Now you understood, correct? Because in order to automate those browsers, there has to be some person who will translate the message in a language which browser understands, right? Exactly. So I'll just go over this point. When we run the Selenium script, and this is what I'm calling it as client, right? Then our complete code converts into JSON format, right? Generated JSON is sent to the browser driver automatically. You no need to do all these things, okay? All this, whatever I'm talking, is taken care by Selenium internally. WebDriver take cares of all these things. But we need to understand. Yes. Because if someone asks you in an interview, can you explain me the WebDriver architecture? This is how you need to explain with confidence by drawing the diagram, right? The Selenium client library, and then the JSON format, then the driver, which is kind of a server, and then the browser, and then how the entire communication or the piece of information flows, right? So that's why it is very important to understand, because some people don't even understand why we are initiating a driver. They don't understand how the tool works with multiple languages, how it works on multiple platforms. And that's why it is important for us to understand this. Each browser will have its own browser driver, okay? So when I'm asking you, hey, can you download the Chrome driver? Can you download the Firefox driver? Firefox driver is also called as Gecko driver, okay? So don't get confused. And yes, Gecko driver, okay? They also call it as Gecko driver. It's just a weird name. I don't know why, but yeah. Yeah. And the Chrome driver is a straightforward like Chrome driver, okay? So every browser will have its own drivers, and then those drivers are nothing but a standalone servers, right? Which will convert your JSON into the language which their browser understands, and then they also communicate back to the Selenium. So that's how the entire communication flows. Browser driver will communicate with its respective browser and execute the command by interpreting a JSON which is received on the browser. Browser driver receives response back from the browser, and it sends a JSON response back to the client. Okay. So are we good till this? Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, so we can work on Selenium WebDriver using multiple IDs. Okay. IDs, you already know, integrated development environment. You can either use Selenium or you can use IntelliJ. These are the most two powerful IDs right now the market is using. I would prefer to teach on Selenium, so on Eclipse. The reason because it is very easy, and most of the time people, when they start learning basic Java and all, they prefer use Selenium Eclipse, right? I already forwarded you a video with which you can download and install the ID. You need to do a quick Java setup. We need a Java. I think JRE 8 would work. And then the environmental setup that is also provided to you. How do you test the Java setup? By going to a CMD and just typing Java minus version. And then you will come to know which Java version your machine has. And then start writing a small hello world program. So if the hello world program is running, console is printing a hello world, which means yes, your Java setup and your Eclipse setup is up to date, right? So I hope they are up to date. So I'll proceed. Okay, so, cool. So before even I jump on writing a Selenium code, right? You need to understand some basics about the structure so that it will help you. So just assume, as you know, whenever we create a Java projects or any Java artifacts, we first create a Java project, right? The first thing, Java project, then the Java package, and in the package you will have class files, multiple class files, right? And in those class files we basically write our Java codes, correct? So it is why we have this project, package, and class. It is just to organize our code in a correct way. Like we organize this entire globe on different countries and different states and different counties and cities. Why we have done that? Just to make it more organized way, right? In a similar fashion, we have organized the entire Java in this way. So now when you are writing the code, think in this way. The Java project, consider it as a test suite, right? A test suite can have multiple test cases, correct? and in that we're gonna write multiple class files. So each and every class file you can treat it as of now as one test case. Okay, even though we're gonna use a test ng where I'll talk more about how do we differentiate between the test suites and test cases. Okay, but as of now, just assume that this is how we're gonna start writing it. Okay. Okay, before I go with all the points, are you noting it down somewhere else? What are the important points we are discussing? Okay, good. Yeah, that's very important to write your own notes. Okay. No, exactly. Yes, even I have my own automation career notebook, which I keep on writing it. Yes, yes. Okay. So now the next logical step in a Selenium learning is to download and install or import the Selenium jars. Even though this step is not needed at this moment, because if you ask me how the current industry is working, they do not do the download and import, but I will still teach you this because unless you do this, you may not understand its drawbacks, you know, or you may not understand why. Yes, yes. So we're gonna download the jars, we're gonna import the jars, but I'm saying finally when we start working on Maven and the framework part of it, we may not do this. Okay, but when before we reach there, you know, it's good to take baby steps. That's why we're gonna do this. So let me open the Eclipse. Okay, so the moment you open an Eclipse, this is how it's gonna look like, right? The plain Eclipse. You know, there are multiple Eclipse versions, but the one which I suggested to download and install in my tutorial, that is what we need. Just give me a moment. I'm not a charger. Okay, so the first thing you need to start doing is create a project, right? So right click, go to new and create a Java project. This is where you create a Java project. Okay, so click on Java project, give the project name. So let's say I'm giving Selenium learning. Okay, and then it will automatically detect the JRE on your system. You no need to mess with all this, but yes, if you want a specific project related JRE, if you have multiple versions and all that, which is hardly needed when you are basically learning it. So but yes, this is what the JRE setup is. And then and no need to worry about creating a project folder and all those things. Okay, and just click finish. So it will create a blank project for you. So this is the blank project. Now if you expand it, you will see some structure. You will see some JRE system library, some where this library came. When we were creating a project, we selected what JRE we need, right? What Java library we need. So because we have selected the JRE 1.8, it automatically added the related Java files in your project. Okay. And now this source folder is blank currently because we haven't created any package, we haven't created any class files, right? If you just expand this, you will see a lot of these jars. These are all directly coming from your Java installation. Okay, so don't worry, we no need to deal with any of those. These are by default. Okay, If you select a Java while creating a project, if you select another yes, if you another version, then it will import, you know, those kind of. So I have so many versions on my machine. Okay, so if I select, let's say if I select J2SE 1.3, it will import the library based on that. If I select a Java version 1.6, 1.7, it will import based on that. Okay, so I'll just cancel it. Now the first thing you need to do is start creating your package, right? So go to, or let's try to see if I directly create a class, what will happen. Okay, so I'm just creating direct a class. So let's say I'm saying test case 1, right? Now you see the use of default package is discouraged. Why it is showing so? Because whenever you're creating a class, it needs a package, correct? It needs a package. So let's see, you know, so if you see the package, it says default. The reason, because when you are trying to create a class file without defining, without defining package, it's going to automatically create it for you. So let's see, which is not a recommended practice, but let's do it because currently we don't know anything. Let's assume that. Okay, so it will say, oh, we don't know anything, we're just gonna create it. So I'm saying test case 1, because I'm saying every class file will be one test case, correct? And you need a public static void. What is this? This is a public method which Java entrepreneur Java understands to execute, correct? So public static, just check on this public static void main. That is the method which is executable. That is the method which it will always run. Okay, so that's why we need that method. And then click on finish. So now you see the default package is automatically created for you, correct? So from where it came, because you created a class file, it automatically created a package. You can't have city without being in some state, can you? Right? You can't have a county without under certain state or under, you know, certain uh, country, correct? So that's why it will automatically create a default package for you. Now this class, this is where we're gonna write our Selenium code, right? This is where we're gonna start writing our Selenium code. This is just a comment, just giving an example that here our Selenium code will start. Now before I start, I'll just try to see whether it works for me. So CISO is a short form for system.out.println. So I'm just see, hello, I'm learning Selenium. That's it. I haven't done anything. Okay, just a normal info statement or just a print statement, right? Under main method. Main method starts from here to here. Class starts from line number 2 to line number 12. And then I'll try to see whether it works. So right click, run as. Now we're gonna run it as Java application, right? And then hit enter, or you can also use this button. So run as Java application. And now see the console says, hello, I'm learning Selenium, right? Which means my setup is correct, and but till now we haven't written any Selenium code, right? It is simply a plain Java code, correct? It's simply a plain Java code. So you, like int abc equal to 10, and then here if I try to print the value of abc, this is how we generally do, right? And this is value of abc equal to, and then concatenate the control space to get the immediate available variable, use that, and then save it, and then again try to run the code, and then see this, right? So this is a plain Java code. Now in this Java code, we're gonna start writing our Selenium code from here on. Okay, now before we do that, so far this Eclipse doesn't know what is Selenium, right? Because Eclipse is an integrated development environment to build Java applications, right? Now Eclipse doesn't know what the Selenium is all about. Now if let's assume if I'm just started writing a Selenium code, let's assume I don't know anything, so I'm just writing let's say Selenium dot click button. Even though this is not a method, I'm just trying to give an example. Okay, I'm just trying to write hello Selenium click button and then Selenium dot submit something. Now it will say, so what is Selenium? So just hover your mouse and it will say, oh, I don't know what is Selenium, right? Selenium cannot be resolved. Create a local variable or do something with it so that I can understand what you're trying to refer, right? It doesn't know what it is. Now how to resolve it? So like I was saying, Selenium is a open source tool. It again, in a simple language, it's just a collection of some libraries. Okay, it's a collection of code. When you have multiple files, if you want to share with someone else, how do? You compress them, correct? You compress them, and what you provide a zip file. Is that right? So if I ask you, Mamush, can you send me 50 different photos? Will you attach those 50 photos in an email and send it to me? Probably no, right? You will put it in one folder, you will zip it, and then you will send it to me, right? Or what you would do, you will upload it in a Google Drive and then just share a link with me, correct? And then once I get a link, I will download it, correct? That is Maven. Okay, we're gonna talk about it later on. So the other example of putting it on the drive and giving a link to me is a example of Maven. But the first approach of zipping everything and sending a zip file to me is the manual Selenium download, which we are doing it now. Okay, so that's why this Eclipse needs to be provided with the Selenium jar so that it understands what you are trying to do, correct? So go to Selenium. Just to go to Google, just type Selenium download. Okay, Selenium download. This is the official website. Just go to selenium.hq is the official website. Okay, let me go to, yeah. Okay, I think they have moved it to this one. Now here, Selenium WebDriver, ID and grid, right? I was telling you, these are the three things which we're gonna, driver is the one which we're gonna learn, and grid we're gonna explore it. Yeah. Now click on download. The moment you come on download, it's gonna give you this complete list, because based on what language are you using, it will try to give you those libraries, right? If you are using it with Ruby, if you're using Python, JavaScript, C#, based on that you will have to download those library. Now we are using a Java, so go to Java, go to the latest version. This will be a stable version. This will be the alpha version, in which beta and alpha version, you know them, right? So those are the alpha version. We don't need to worry about that. Just download the stable version. It will always, right now I think Selenium 3 point something, yeah, 3 point whatever, 3.4, 3.14. Okay, yeah, that version is available. Whenever you download, you may have a different version, but that's fine. Stable version is 3.14, 141. Okay. Okay, so it has downloaded. Now what we're gonna do here is, let's go to download Selenium. Now here it will come in a zip format. You'll have to unzip them. Now in this unzip folder, if you see, you will have all these jars, correct? You will have these jars, and then inside a lib also you will have a lot of jars. You need to import all these jars in your Eclipse tool so that Eclipse start understanding what the Selenium is all about. Okay, how do you do that? You have to do it at a project level, because everything which you're gonna do will be done at a project level. Okay, so go to your project wherever you started with, right click on that project, and then you're gonna import those. So what you generally do in an import is, you have this build path, right? You can go to build path and then add libraries. I don't know how it looks on the Windows, probably the same, but if you don't have that, probably you will go to properties and then you will go to Java build path. Okay, in the Java build path, here you will click on libraries, and then you will click on add external jars. Okay, either this way or whatever I told you, other way, but the intention is adding in a build path. Okay, adding it in a build path. Now go to libraries and click on add external jar. In some Eclipse, you may have, I think, a module and class, some that kind of structure. Okay. So module and class path, I think. So make sure you add it in a class path, right? But if you are following my video to download and install an Eclipse, this is how you're gonna get, because I'm assuming we are using a same Eclipse version.
Yeah.
Same Eclipse flavor maybe, right? Because there are multiple flavors of Eclipse. So go to, yeah, go to build path, then go to add external jar. Now on external jar, go to download Selenium extracted folder, right? This is the zip file, which again, in the zip file, all the jar file are also compressed Java files, okay? And all of them has a different code. So start importing, select this jar, and then click open. It added, right? Now this is not sufficient. You have to again click on external jar. Inside this lib also you will have multiple jar. So select all of them and then again click OK. Now you see all your jars are added, right? All your jars are added, and then apply and close. Now if you try to see this reference library, this is a new folder came in your project, right? And if you expand them, now you will start seeing all these jars, whatever the jars we have added, right? All these 3.14. Mhm.
If you say Selenium, when you went to the website to download it, does it specifically say Selenium with jar file?
No, it
Add some other reference language, right?
no, we added Selenium WebDriver, Selenium client and WebDriver language jars. Yes, yeah.
Like in the Java class.
Oh, yeah. There you may not able to see it in that way. Okay. So I think so far I'll stop it here. Today, I want you to go ahead and do this setup on your machine. Okay. Now, one thing I want you to understand, so far we have just downloaded and imported Selenium jars, which will help us, which rather than I'll saying which will help us, which will help the Eclipse to understand what we are writing, right? The Selenium code, correct? Now the next logical step would be downloading browser drivers, right? If you understand the Selenium architecture, the Selenium code which we are writing will get converted into JSON, which will be done by this. Now on what browser we are trying to automate, for that browser we'll have to download individual browser drivers. With these jars we haven't received a browser drivers, okay? So that browser drivers we'll have to do it individually. So just giving an example, we'll do that tomorrow, but here just if you say the Chrome web driver, yeah, just type Chrome web driver, download Chrome web driver, here you will see. Okay, so Chrome driver for web driver. Okay, so here it will say if you are using this version, then download this driver. If you are using this version, download this driver. If you are using this, see, Selenium setup is little complex initially, but once you understand why we need those steps, I think it will make sense. Okay, but there some yeah, they sounds tricky, but once you know why we need this piece, then I think it will make you comfortable. Okay, yeah, so these are the individual drivers, and now you understand why we need a driver, correct, along with Selenium. So Selenium download is a separate step, and downloading an individual drivers is a separate step. So let's say I want Firefox, right? So how you'll do Firefox driver for web driver, just giving an example. So yeah, so like I said, they call it as Gecko driver, right? So this is a Gecko driver, and then you will download the Gecko driver based on either you're working on Windows or you're working on Mac. They'll have different Gecko drivers, right? Now these are the drivers which receives your JSON, and then they provide a input to the Chrome. Okay, and that's why these drivers are important. Now tomorrow what we're going to do is we're gonna download these drivers. We're gonna start writing our first Selenium test. In that also, there is some caveat which we will learn. Why we create a WebDriver object, correct? That is important to understand. So before I talk on that, I want you to go ahead today and try to understand the difference between interface and class in Java, okay? What is interface and class you anyway know, but try to understand how do we, what is interface. If you learn, you will find a word called as implementing an interface. I want you to understand that. Anyway, I'll explain you tomorrow. When someone says I'm implementing an interface, what exactly he's trying to do, right? That is what you need to understand, because if you understand that, you will understand what and why we are creating a WebDriver object, okay? Because I don't want to simply tell you that driver equal to driver and then start using driver dot all the methods. That doesn't make sense. So that's why we are writing that line, why we are creating an object of WebDriver, that I want you to understand. Because we're gonna implement that WebDriver interface using Chrome driver or Firefox driver or any other classes, and why we are doing that is very tricky sometimes if you don't know the interface, and you don't know why we creating a WebDriver object. So just go through it, a couple of videos, and read through blog. Anyway, I'm gonna explain you tomorrow. So tomorrow we're gonna download the WebDriver drivers, rather than say WebDriver drivers, browser drivers, okay? And then we're gonna start creating our first Selenium test, which is gonna be very easy, just invoking a browser and navigating to google.com, okay? But
Do you want me to something like go through the introduction of what implementing understanding
exactly,
the difference between that and class? Is that what you
exactly,
want me to do?
yes, right? Okay, so I will stop here as of now.